Okay, our next presenter, we're going to talk about affordable housing. One of the key positions of the Gray Panthers is there needs to be more affordable housing for seniors in our community. And we work strongly with developers and coalitions in the community to advance the building of more affordable units for seniors. It makes such a difference in their quality of life. So affordable housing is housing that you may understand as being Section 8 or subsidized housing within the community. You have to apply, and there's a couple of different ways that you can apply. You can apply either online for the Long Beach Housing Authority, or you can apply online when they open the wait list. The wait list opens very rarely, but you do need to get an application in because that's how they fill openings at the new buildings too. So we have a couple of new buildings that are getting ready to open and one that just did open, and they usually fill them by lotteries. So your chances are much better if you're on the list and getting into housing if you are on the list. Now, the list only opens up very rarely, so you have to pay attention. The city sends out a lot of notices. There are satellites to the housing authority at the public library. They can do to give you information also. And then our next speaker is also a great resource. And I want to let everybody know that's attending, you're all going to get in the mail a packet of information that's been created or presented at the meeting today. So, and some extra treats from SCAN. So, Myra, go ahead.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. I'm Myra. I'm a Vista for Long Beach Residents Empowered. And with me on the call today, I have Abraham Zavala. He's also from Long Beach Residents Empowered. And we're here to speak for you guys and let you guys know some of your housing rights and responsibilities when it comes to renters, both HUD and on the regular market rate. Abe, if you want to go ahead and start sharing a few of the tenants' rights.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Great. Happy Saturday, by the way. I'm glad to be here today. I want to just talk about a few things that we've been seeing in Long Beach with tenants. Tenants tend to call in, coordinate with us on different levels regarding like tenant to landlord relationships. I think a lot of the questions we usually get in regards to concerns that tenants get is, for example, currently with COVID, concerns to having contact with outside folks, the idea of a tenant having to either deny or give permission for landlords to come into the units. I think I just want to speak on that for a bit. I think for the most part, right, the thing we should take away from that is that by law, landlords do have the ability to come into your residence, into your unit with 24-hour notice. So that's the first thing we should kind of keep in our minds. You are able to reschedule and notify the landlord that that does not work for you and reschedule a different time, but they are allowed entry. Denying entry though, right, is not a reason for to be evicted or to have any kind of consequence of that nature. LA County recently laid that out clearly, right, that although landlords do have the ability to enter your residence, denying entry is not a reason to be put into an eviction notice or some sort of action of that nature. So just know that on the idea of access, that is something that you know, tenants should keep in mind. You have the right to be notified 24 hours notice. You're able to reschedule if it doesn't work for you. And if for whatever reason you're denying them, right, entry, you cannot be evicted for that. So just know that. So that's one thing I wanted to share. I think another thing that I've also encountered in recent conversations with tenants is the idea of evictions. Eviction notices have been issued to a lot of folks and market rate units when it comes to you know, falling behind on rent. As many of you know, there's been a lot of protections that have been laid out by the state and locally as well in terms of you know, being behind on rent. If you're falling behind on rent because of COVID, and you've either had an impact in your income on COVID, you are only responsible for 25% of the rent if your rent is behind from from September of 2020 till June of 2021 of this year. If for whatever reason you fall behind on rent due to the pandemic, you are by law, right, responsible for 25% of the rent. The remaining 75% becomes consumer debt, which at some point, right, it's very likely the landlord can take action to kind of ding your credit, right? But all that to say that you can be evicted for falling behind on rent due to COVID reasons. With that, right, another kind of eviction we've seen as well happen in Long Beach is called the sub remodel eviction, where folks have received notices, and this might actually impact folks here on the call because I have spoken to folks in Rose Park, and they've shared in CD2 specifically. There's been a very big pattern. It's been citywide, but for sure in CD2 it's been a pattern where landlords go into units and let the tenant know that they have to vacate or move within 60 days because there's going to be substantial remodeling happening in their unit. And as a result of that, we've seen folks who have lived in their buildings for years, who at this point are retired possibly, and they're aware that their landlord's doing this because they've had experience with landlord where they've been trying to raise their rent to other tenants, and it's been a way for landlords to really kind of push out tenants who've had been able to kind of enjoy their tenancy there and have a rent that's doable and payable for them. Now the landlord's kicking them out under the pretext of I need to remodel your unit, and now they're struggling to find a home because they've been evicted because of that. And by the way, that's illegal, right? No one should be evicted for having to do the remodels, but it happens, right? There's nothing that will stop a landlord from issuing you a notice to evict. If you were to fight it and it would go to court, it would likely be thrown out. Or people don't know that, unfortunately. But there is nothing that'll stop them from giving you a notice. But the court very likely, if you ever took it to court, would rule in your favor, very likely. Because half of these evictions, if not in case most, are ways that the landlord is trying to remodel for aesthetic reasons and not really do honest that would benefit in it. So the substantial remodel clause in our local ordinance that allows landlords to do that has been a reason why folks have been experiencing evictions recently. So if you know anyone, please, in the community who has received a notice, right, that's saying we need you to move out because we need to do construction, please let us know immediately that we were able to support folks that are there by themselves in that situation. And I think for the purpose of today, because I know we have 10 minutes, I could go on and on. I'd love to do a follow-up workshop too. Like if folks are interested, please let me know and I can do like an extended hour version of like detailed other procedures, whether it's like how to deal with lease changes or things of that nature. We do have workshops available that can be up to an hour. We can do it in person if you like, or over Zoom, whatever is comfortable. If it's in person, we'll bring snacks, and if it's over the Zoom, we're gonna basically have to, we owe you those snacks and treats and meetings. So, but with that said, I'll pass it over to Myra.
Thanks, Abe. Now, for those seniors who do have Section 8 or low-income housing, now one of the main rights that you guys have is the recalculation of your rent. If it does decrease, that is one of your rights, and that is something that you can request for. And you also have the right to live in decent, safe, and sanitary housing that is free from lead-based paint. Now, when it comes to your responsibilities, there's only two simple things to follow. And the first one is making sure that you're paying the correct amount of rent on time each month. And the second one is make sure that you're complying with all of the guidelines that are governing your lease. And those are really the two reasons why, if you break one of those, that's the only reason why maybe a landlord has the right to evict you. But if you're following with all the rules and you're paying your rent on time, there's no reason for a manager or a landlord to harass you or even threaten to evict you. If they have their own policies, if they say that this is their rules, it doesn't matter. If it's not on the lease, then it's not your problem. So just to end today, if you guys have any questions for me or for Abe, and if you guys are personally going through something or know someone that's going through something, whether it be an illegal eviction, if you guys are suffering from harassment from your landlord, because that is also illegal to be harassed by your landlord, especially also now that Long Beach passed the anti-harassment policy ordinance. That is a really big thing that, you know, some tenants have working for them. I think, Karen, correct me if I'm wrong, but you guys will receive my flyer in the mail with my information.
Yes.
Perfect.
will.
And you guys have my information. And if you guys want to reach out to Abe, you guys can reach out to me, and I'd be more than glad to pass the information and as well. And we'll go ahead and still drop our information in the chat. Thank you guys so much for being here with us today. Karen and Myron, thank you for having me and Abe today. Really appreciate it. Thank you guys.